go over yesterday's events?
Sure. What was it
Okay.
like for you?
Well, to recap, we asked the school here where we're staying um, to set us up on a tour, which they already had pre-described on a menu, where they would have a tuk-tuk driver um, take us to a boat, which would then take us to a floating river village. This is a village that's completely on the water where people built houses that are floating. And in order to go from one house to the other, you'd have, if they're, adjacent to each other, you just kind of jump over to the next person's house, or you take a boat because they're kind of spread out. So we went through there. The boat driver went pretty slow through the village, and one of the things that I noticed was that kind of going to the village with the fishermen that were just kind of on the side on the banks of the river, they would smile and they would wave, but I noticed that once we got into the village, no one really paid us any mind, which made me think that they weren't necessarily happy to see us. And putting myself in their shoes, I don't know. Me personally, I wouldn't have been happy to see a bunch of Western tourists, taking videos and pictures of me like I'm some sort of spectacle or zoo animal. So I felt kind of awkward with that situation. So the boat driver had us stop at the village leader's house, which was kind of a makeshift store as well. And he gave me a brief rundown of the village. And we had the opportunity to ask questions, and his English was limited. Obviously, we don't speak any Cambodian, but it was very helpful in understanding the situation. He explained that people lived on the river villages because they couldn't really make ends meet in cities because land was expensive, rent is expensive, whereas you can just kind of build a house on the river and your housing is pretty much taken care of. The only problem is you don't have running water.
You did have solar
Yeah,
panels.
electricity is limited. Most of the houses had a single solar panel, which would charge a car battery. So, um, as we were drifting by one of the houses, I saw some person watching TV. I thought that's funny, but that's probably limited. It's like 15 minutes of TV, and you just drain your entire battery.
No, it lasts a little bit.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. But he also explained that in order to get a big bottle of water, um, of clean drinking water, it costs the villagers 4,000 real, which is a dollar essentially. But he said in the city, the middlemen, the boaters, can get them for 1,500 real. So those middlemen are making, almost triple the price, selling it to the river villages. But it's kind of a necessity because they have the means of transportation. The city's far away, so there in itself is a business.
You said they could drink the water though.
He said they could drink the water, which after they boil it. But I mean, if we had a video of water, I think people would be pretty disgusted if people were drinking that water because it's completely brown. Like it was really brown going over there, but when you get there, it's
Because
a little less. But it's like a light chocolate milk, and I don't. Even if you boiled it, you still have a lot of sediment. Um, so I think most of them probably drink the bottled water, um, but they have to kind of live in these conditions because he said he had friends in the villages that he would encourage, hey, go in the city and find work, um, and they would try, but because they had no skills, they were all fishermen, and that's the only skills that they possessed. Work was hard to come by, so they would always be forced to come back. So it seems like once you grow up in that type of environment, it's hard to escape it. So it's kind of stuck in that situation, um, which is what it is. But coming from the Western world, where you have the world at your fingertips, and kind of if you put forth effort, there's all these opportunities that are available to you. People here in Cambodia, it's very limited, which is kind of segues into why we're staying at this school, which is a gentleman has a plot of land where he created these little bungalow type housing units, and he hosts a school which runs at night where the village kids can come and receive an education Some of these kids go to school in the daytime, and this is augmentary. But some of the kids don't go to school at all because they're helping family or whatnot, and this is the only school that they get. So we learned this morning that these classrooms can range from 11 years old to 19 years old, but they're essentially
younger,
or
first
younger,
grade, 6 years old.
and they might be learning the same curriculum because, again, it's not the age that matters, because in the United States you would be thinking, oh, a 19-year-old should be in college, they should be at that level of education. Well, if they haven't had an education, they could, it's possible that they could be academically at the same level as a first grader, learning to speak English or whatnot. So that was kind of eye-opening. I hadn't even considered that, and how much humility it would have to take for that 19-year-old to actually sit in class with a bunch of, basically 6-year-olds learning the same material, yet still wanting to be there to receive an education because it has potential to better their lives. So we're here because Sajana found this place on, what was it? Airbnb. And I guess the person who runs this institution, Czech, kind of put the story on there.
Yeah.
And she found it was a worthwhile cause because the money that we spend to stay here, a portion of it goes to just supporting the school. And
well,
now
that's how he supports the school. He doesn't get funding from the government or anything, or parents. They can send their children here for free. So he gets money from people staying here in this place, or donations from the people that stay here and hear the story.
the accommodations are sparse, much more sparse than I'm used to. Like, you can't call this a hotel or anything like that.
Tell me what it was like when we got out the airport, and we were picked up by a driver that he calls. So, what was it like to come over here? And this is your first time in Cambodia itself.
Well, I mean, I was impressed because the tuk-tuk driver had a sign that had your name on it and is easily identifiable, because I was kind of skeptical of that there'd actually be someone waiting. He was waiting. He grabbed our luggage, he introduced himself, and then we got on the tuk-tuk, which is basically a motorbike with a cart in the back, where he loaded our luggage and we kind of crammed into. And as soon as we left the airport area, it was completely dark. There was no street lights. And then we got off the hardball.
That's because we landed at 10:20 p.m.
Yeah.
So it was pretty late.
And as soon as we got off the hardball and hit the dirt road, it's extremely bumpy, and obviously the cart doesn't have any shocks, so we're just jostling up and down. The kids
loved it.
Yeah, the kids had a great time. And then coming on to here, I mean, obviously the tuk-tuk driver knew where we were going. Got checked in, and as soon as I came into the room, and I'm not some sort of bourgeois person, but it's just a concrete house essentially, and 2 beds. Essentially that's it. And then the bathroom was located outside, which is nice. I thought it would be connected, but it is semi-connected. You just have to leave the actual room itself. But it's not bad, and the fact that that the money is going to a good place makes it much more pleasant. Because if it was just some commercial area, I'd be probably pretty upset. Like, what, I'm paying for this? But that's not the case. The money's going to a good place. So we're discussing this morning.
I remember how you said you went to the bathroom the first night, in the middle of the night, and and like a frog jumped on your leg.
Yeah,
that was pretty funny.
There's a little frog on this thing. But I mean, yeah, it freaked me out for a second because you're half asleep. Anyway,
it's funny.
This is the way of life here. It's kind of standard.
Although the room has Wi-Fi, it has a fan. There's electricity.
Yeah.
There's 2 desks, or a desk and a bookcase in there. I mean, it clean towels. The sheets smelled really nice. There's this extra pillow in there, and I really like the smell of the sheets. And the sounds were of geckos, chickens, and dogs in the distance, but not so much. And it was Christmas night, so there was a little bit of music.
Yeah.
But it was on the wind. It was not wind, more like a breeze. It's nice.
And the weather's been very pleasant. They said it's abnormally cold, which is great.
85 degrees, 90 degrees,
something like that. 'Cause
Fahrenheit.
reading reading
So,
stuff online before coming here, everyone said this is the hottest place they've ever been. Even experienced travelers said it's the
yes.
hottest place because of the humidity. But yesterday, well, we were kind of covered the entire day, but I barely sweat at all. It was fine. That was a chicken, by the way.
Yeah.
So that was River Village. It kind of goes over where we're staying, and then after the River Village, the driver took us to part of the tour was a silk factory. He kind of went over the history of it, so it's kind of like a walkthrough tour. They're actually weaving different types of silk fabrics, which they're creating scarves and clothing and whatnot. And then he was giving us a brief history of that, and that the institution was created by the French back in the 70s, I think. I don't remember, but the French, seeing that then there was a need to kind of bring in skilled labor, taught the local Cambodians how to grow, raise silkworms, and grow them, and then harvest them for silk, and then they would teach this trade to the locals, so that when they left, they had a skill set they can use to support themselves. And that's been going on ever since then. It went from the government to an NGO to now it's kind of more privatized Cambodian. I don't think it's government run, but he said they employ over 1,000 people there. I'll let John talk about the tour a little bit, but after the tour had ended, I had asked him kind of discreetly, hey, is it okay if I ask you how much the people in there make? Because the work was very meticulous. I mean, it took a long time. They're making each... I mean, we've all seen the looms where they're kind of passing the wooden thing back and forth, but this was one, making sure everything lined up properly, and then, smashing the thread and then doing it again. So very, very meticulous work. And I asked how much these people made, and he said around $220 to $250, $200 to $250 a month. And then I said, wow. And he said, actually, the average salary for people not working that textile mill was around $150 a month. So these employees got paid relatively well compared to others, and that's why they only took in about 50 artisans a year to train them. So I would assume it's pretty competitive to be selected, to be trained, and to work there. So that was kind of eye-opening as well. Do you want to talk about the tour?
Oh, the tour itself it didn't cost any money to go to the tour, but we did tip the tour guide that we had that kind of went around and told us about everything. Because I mean, he made it really interesting for us to just kind of see the process from worm to product. And we got to see every part of the process, and I even touching the worms. I don't know, that was cool. Nobody else in my family wanted to touch them, but I did, and he kind of stuck on my finger. It's sticky. It was very nice. They're all there. It's very interesting experience. I recommend everybody go check it out. It was yesterday experience. I was coordinated through Check. It looks like Cheek, but Check, who runs this community school of hope homestay. It was just, from the floating village to the silk practice factory place. And then after that, we said we were hungry, so our driver kind of took us to the biggest lake here in Siem Reap. Biggest lake in Cambodia?
I think it's the biggest lake in Cambodia.
Oh, that was just nice, because, we didn't know where we were going. He said, I know a place, and he went to a lady, and she put out 4 hammocks overlooking the water. First time I ever really sat in a hammock, and it was a nice experience for all of us to kind of do, and then to get our food.
Yeah, so the driver ordered for us. He said in that area, you're not going to be able to get soups. It's going to be fried chicken and like dried fish. So I asked him, can you order for us? He said no problem, and he ordered us when it came out. It was a entire fried chicken, like the entire fried chicken, legs and beak. Not the beak; they cut the beak off, but the head and all. And then 4 styrofoam containers of rice, and it may have had to do with the fact that we were pretty hungry. It was about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
It was delicious.
But it was the best chicken I've ever eaten in my entire life. And there was no utensils. We were eating with our hands.
Well, we had spoons, but we didn't use them.
Spoons. I mean, not that I have a problem eating with my hands, but it was extremely good. And it was this like herbal dipping sauce thing that
tasted like it had lime in it.
I did not think I was gonna like, but everything just went together so well.
It's delicious. My son liked this pepper salt
seasoning. Yeah, that's just normal. I think just the chicken.
It was very good.
And the chickens are, I guess they all left, but they're not like your normal American chickens that are just fat and can't even walk because they're so fat. These are very, very lean chickens with really long legs, and they're black, but they're natural. They're eating the bugs and the grass and everything. They're not being fed corn, so that probably has a lot to do with the fact that they're just tasty. Anyway, that was really good. So that was authentic, and it didn't seem like an area that a lot of foreigners go to, because he said, when it's busy, like you cannot find a space there. It's really busy.
He also said that the water looked better because it was higher and everything, and I was like, no, this is great. I thought it was great.
Yeah, so really appreciative to our tuk-tuk driver. He spent the entire day with us. When we went on a boat ride or went through the tour, he just kind of stayed put. Yeah, and I don't think they make much every day. I mean, that's one of the things that I researched before I came over here is you can basically buy a meal for $1, a good meal for $1. So if you kind of equate that back to the States and average that out, you might think like $5 in a Western in the U.S. is like $1 here. So, tipping someone $1 is like tipping them $5. Tipping them someone $10 is like tipping them $50. So that's kind of helped me figure things out. Yeah.
So, for this video, Daniel, I didn't really know what we was going to talk about. I just wanted to get your lovely face on camera. You know what I'm saying? You even got a little hair right there, which normally you don't. And he's so handsome. So handsome. So this morning he woke up with a...
No, I had it yesterday. It's just getting worse.
And I messaged... I keep wanting to say cheek, but it's not. It's check. Okay. So I messaged our host, super host, check, for the community. I keep looking down at this. It's just, I forget the name of it, but it's Community School of Hope Homestay. So I asked him, is it possible to have, some hot water with honey and lemon for his throat? And they brought over a container. It had some honey in there and a lime. So I made him something to drink. And later when he asked about it, so how was the honey? We found out that wasn't store-bought honey.
Yeah, he said he had to fire up some hay and go out there and get the bees away and actually collect the honey, which is, wow, I felt bad. Apparently they didn't do it this morning. They already had it stored up, but the fact that you have to go through all that effort for some honey, because it might be a cost thing where it's just honey's more expensive here, and why get it when it's you can just get it yourself. It's just you have to face the possibility of getting stung a couple times. But I mean that's the way of things out here. It just makes you really appreciate how easy our lives are to the people here who kind of live life much more naturally. We've gotten accustomed to all the little niceties and accommodations in life, and coming to places like this kind of brings you back to reality of we are very privileged in how we live our lives, and very little of the rest of the world actually lives this way. Yet all these people are connected. They have YouTube, they have the high-speed internet, so they know how Westerners live. And I'm very curious if I could have a conversation with a Cambodian about how do you look at your life? Do you compare? Do you wish for more? Or are you content with what you have? But if I can personally put my own, like, we always want more. Like, we look at people like Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and wonder, I wish I could have a private jet and my own yacht. So I'm sure it's going to be the same. I mean, we are, for the most part, content with our lives, but I think everybody desires more. And I have a feeling it's going to be the same way. I wonder if their more is just, hey, I wish I could have air conditioning, and I wish I could have an education. Whereas we want yachts and mansions. Their wishes are a little more simpler.
So I think, if you don't mind, and I'll ask you later, the purpose, like, as we started talking, I think we're mostly talking about our experience after being here in Cambodia for 2 days now. And being here, and specifically here in this place at the Community School of Hope, I think I'd like to share a portion of our talk to just help kind of talk about what it's like to be here in this particular place, to hopefully draw attention to this place. He has 7 rooms that are available to rent out, and the money that he makes from the rooms helps to support all of the kids that were here. There were a lot of kids here in the evening to receive teaching of English. He also said they do addition, so they do other topics also, or life talks, but they're here to receive an education. And Chick's point of view is that if you have education, then it just opens up so many possibilities for their future. So, you talked about what do people want. We, by staying here or by helping people who work to help other people, I think you are helping them have even an option.
Yeah.
To have something more.
Yeah. We spoke to Czech last night, and after school had let out. Unfortunately, we had gotten too late where we couldn't sit in or contribute. We only saw all the bicycles lined up when we came in. They were still in class, but 5-10 minutes later they were leaving, and he kind of told us, he gave us more information about the school and his work, and I was very impressed that his level of altruism, in that he saw a need, and he shared a kind of a Cambodian saying that his father gave him, is that education is like a flower that you can smell regardless of which way the wind is blowing, because an actual flower itself, you can only smell it when it's downwind, but education is like a flower that no matter which way the wind is blowing, it spreads its smell, fragrance everywhere, and education is the same way. So money can only get you so far, but if you have an education, it gives you the ability to influence more and spread your sphere of influence, and gives you more opportunities. And the fact that he's basically given up his job to where this is his job, and he runs this hostel type of institution to support his school, and he's giving these opportunities to these kids because he realizes the importance of education, that it's key to improving their lives for themselves and their family, is extremely impressive. And I wish him the best, and I wish good fortune, and I hope that this place really blossoms. He's been doing it for several years now, and I hope that he continues to get support so that he can give back to these kids, so that a lot of them can experience the world and improve their lives and their families' lives through education, and become, really realize their potential and not be limited by just where they were born. If they want to become doctors or scientists or whatever they want to be, they have the same opportunity just like we do in the Western world. It's just, they're obviously good people.
You keep talking about the Western world, but there are people even there who don't have as much as we have
No.
been able to have.
I mean, I don't discount that. It's just, yeah, everyone's, even my own upbringing was not, normal, and you had to struggle. But it's still the United States, where if you fall, the government is there. There are a lot of programs there to help you. Like if I would never compare my life to someone in a river village who grew up in a river village, because the chances for me to escape my upbringing, which I did, was much simpler than, say, someone that grew up in a river village and says, I want to do something else. Their options are much more limited. Just not their fault at all. It's the circumstances of their situation. And if we can help in any way, kind of level the playing field so that they can have as happy of a life as I do, I would love to contribute to that.
And so would I. I mean, really, that's the reason why we're here. For me, in my point of view, that's why I wanted to come here again and bring my family here. This is actually my third time here, but I came here bringing my family here. I really just wanted them to see and experience maybe what it's like for real people here. We've actually been to another Southeast Asia country, Vietnam, and it was very nice. But the thought in going there and spending our time there was mostly as tourists, enjoying touristy stuff. And here, what I wanted in coming here, we have a 11-year-old and a 12-year-old, and my thought in coming here was just, hey, let's come with, we're going to be tourists because we are, but let's come with an awareness of that this life is difficult for many of the people that are here, It's just difficult, and I wanted them to see that. And what happens after that, I have no idea, but I just wanted them to kind of see it and experience it. And I think we were kind of able to see it a little bit yesterday in our visit. And so today we're going to continue our journey and traveling to a different part of Cambodia. Right now we're in Siem Reap, and this evening, we'll be in a different part, Battambang, which is I think the third largest city in Cambodia. It's not as built up as this place, nor Phnom Penh, which we haven't even been to, and we're not planning on going at all during our visit. So I'm just excited to see what will happen and what thoughts will come up as we just experience life here as a foreigner and just kind of get to know the people who will share anything about their life with us. So thanks for talking, honey. I know you don't like being on the camera.
No.
Especially with me, because you don't know what I'm going to say. Is that, or just not being on the camera at all?
You can always edit stuff.
Do you want me to edit something?
I don't care.
You don't care? Good!
All right.
All right. Thanks, and maybe you'll come by and visit this place. And I hope you enjoy your stay, wherever you are. Come visit Cambodia.